Was this the most disappointing book ever?
Action.
Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Alice. We talk about books. We sometimes do some vlog and lifestyle content. If you're looking for someone to stick on in the background while you make yourself a meal, clean your room, or do that thing you've been putting off for the longest time, then I'm your gal. So consider hitting that subscribe button. Come on in, join the family. It is free and you can unsubscribe at any time. Alternate titles for this video. Will Alice make it through the video without sweating her tits off? Other alternate, can you hear the rain? Have you ever seen the rain? Yeah, sorry, it's kind of having a bit of a rain moment here in Bali at the moment. Yeah, it's just something you're gonna have to deal with. Right, so what we're talking about today then. Bam! Anyway, alright, have we all took our seats? Sit down, relax, get comfy, let's sit, put your seatbelt on, buckle in. It could be a bumpy ride. It could be. Just a disclaimer, if you haven't read this book and you're planning on reading this book, probably don't watch this because there could be some spoilers in there, a very, very big spoiler in there as well. Also, if you haven't read the first part or haven't watched my video on the first part, go watch that first. Do that. See what I did there? Plugged it. Then come back and watch this one. Alright? You've been warned. You've been warned. You better come back. You better come back. Also, please always check the trigger warnings as well. There is a lot of bits and bobs going on in this series, so you know, we want happy and safe readers. Just check this book's for you. You know, if you're feeling it and you want to give it a read, just check first. Okay, now you've been warned. Let's sit back, relax, and enjoy the magic. Bring in the trusty steed. We are talking about Legendary by Miss Stephanie Garber. What did I give this out of 10? Guys, you're gonna be shocked. You're gonna be shocked. I gave this a 5. I know, which is technically less than Caraval, but now I've read this one, I did prefer this one. Spoiler, I did prefer this one to Caraval, so I feel like Caraval's even lower, and that's insane. Insane membrane. Or maybe they're on the same thing. I don't know, we'll get into it. So that makes that 2.5 stars. Oh guys. And this is tough because whenever something's a 0.5 star, I don't know what to give it on Goodreads because I feel bad giving it a 2 because it's more than a 2, but it's not quite 3, so it doesn't deserve a 3. It's a little bit all over the place. So I don't know, I'll probably end up caving and being nice and giving it a 3, but just know the real one is 2.5. Okay, it's 2.5. On the chillometer, in the chili scale, yeah, it's a 0. It isn't spicy. There's a few kissy wissies in there and a few like little mentions of things, but no, it's not like that. It's a YA PG, it's pretty chill, so don't worry about that. Also, I would be worried because I didn't realise at the time when I was reading this, it was only when I did a little bit of research after, character in this book is 16, so thank God. I mean, obviously we know, you know, it's age of consent, you can do what you want, but thank goodness that wasn't going on in these books, otherwise I would have been a bit like, Penelope, don't mess with that, yo. Sorry, that was so horrible. Too much shade. I don't think she's done that. Has she done that? I don't know. We shall see. Anyway, if asked would I recommend this book, I said honestly, if you wanted to. It's the same as Caraval. Like, it's not the best thing I've ever read. I wouldn't be like, oh my god, you need to read this. But I would say if you wanted to. Like, it's got some pretty good bits and some pretty cool writing in there. Like, it's definitely some things that are highlighted, and also the world building was pretty good, which obviously we'll get into what was better in this book. So there are definitely some nice things about it, but I wouldn't say you have to rush to read it. Do you know what I mean? Disclaimer before I do my review, okay? There is no hate, no horribleness, whatever. That's not me, okay? These are just my honest reviews and opinions of the books that I read. And for the most part, I just want to say I do appreciate Stephanie Garber's writing. I am enjoying this series on the overall front. These are just opinion of a little gal. Here she is. Again, excuse my appearance. I'm just constantly sweaty in Bali and I just can't deal with my hair. It's frizzy, but it is what it is. Okay guys, take me as I am, I'll take you as you are. All in all, this is not me being mean or horrible, it's just my genuine opinions on the book. And yeah, maybe you shared some, maybe you didn't. Let me know in the comments down below. Let's talk about it. I love a good book discussion, alright? So let's get into it. I said, brace yourself please, people. I was so gutted by this book. I really had higher hopes for it. I really thought like, yes, this is gonna be the aftermath to the Akaton. It's gonna bring it up, we're gonna get deep, and it just felt a little bit flat, guys, to be honest. It's a shame. It is a shame. We'll get into more about why. And as I said before, don't get me wrong, there were things I really liked in this book and things that it did way better than the first one. I was a bit disappointed. I was. Was it the most disappointing book I've ever read? That's a pretty big statement, so I'm probably going to say no, but I was disappointed by it, okay? The world building this time around was great. I was into it. I loved that we were getting a bit more, and I feel like this one has set up a better segue into the next book. I felt like I didn't really know how they were going to connect the first one to the second one. I know they did tell us what was happening, but I don't know, I felt like this one kind of had a good linking to whatever the next part's going to be. I did quite enjoy that was very good. Now my main issue I had with this book is I feel like it was a weak attempt at a love triangle. So I don't think there was ever intended to be a love triangle in there, but because it like occasionally had these moments, it made you think, is this supposed to be a love triangle? And then it just made it feel like she wasn't doing it well. Do you know what I mean? Honestly, I think if this book had a love triangle in it and it was done like super well, I think this book would have been amazing. I genuinely think that that was like perfect context to put their love triangle in. And who knows, I don't know what the last part's about. Maybe it does become a love triangle, but I really thought that could be the way this was going, but it just didn't. And I think that made it fall flat a little bit because, as I said, it kind of felt like it was trying to achieve something it wasn't trying to achieve, but it made it seem like it was trying to achieve it. Does that make sense? So then because it made it seem like it was trying to achieve it, it ultimately failed. So yeah, it wasn't the fruitiest, freshest move from Miss Garber, but I still really liked some of the moments that she had in there, so don't worry, we'll get to some positive things. It just felt like everything was a little bit too much. Like Jax was too much of a villain, Legend was too much of a hero, Teller was just like too sought after. Like it was just a little bit like everything. Do you know what I mean? Just a little bit too much of everything. And whilst I love that's the comment I have to give right now, because obviously I'd rather have too much than not enough, I just feel like it didn't work for me personally. It just kind of made the book feel more all over the place and not as well put together, which was a shame because the way it started and the way it like set out the past and it really got going, I was like, yeah, okay, a minute, this is how it's gonna go. And then sort of like a quarter of the way to maybe a little bit more, it started to like take this path and I was like, we were so close, I will say, despite the fact that I didn't enjoy this as much as I had hoped I would, I definitely want to read the final part, and also apparently there's a novella as well. Although, should we learn our lessons from novellas with Conclave? I don't know, what do you think? Yeah, so if they go on sale, 100%, no way in heck am I paying full price for it. I will wait until that book is on sale or someone buys it for me. I will get round to reading it, but it is not a priority for me right now, which is a shame because especially the last book I read being Divine Rivals and wanting to read the next book so bad, it was a shame that then this book, it had like the half-assed version of the effect. Like it made me want to read it but more because I was like, right, well I have to finish the trilogy now, rather than, oh my god, yeah, I can't wait. Do you know what I mean? Although I will say, like, what they've set up, I am very intrigued to see how she's going to write it, because I do like the way she talks about all, like, mystical and magic and fates and all that. I do really enjoy that, so I feel like I still have great hopes for the final book that will bring it all together, you know? I still really like the concepts of these books in terms of, I like the magical world behind it and the world building, and they're really consumable, really easy to read. I have absolutely boshed through these books, so that was a real bonus, especially when you're like me and you're currently traveling around a little bit and you give yourself quite a lot of time to read, to make these silly little YouTube videos. I think these are quite a good book for that, so I definitely would say if you're looking for something quick to read, very consumable. I feel like this one was almost more consumable as well. It's definitely more into this, like, even though I know my ratings don't reflect it because I was being too nice for Caraval, I really did prefer this book. Like, this book was a lot better than the first one, so I'm happy with that. I thought the reveal of who Legend was, it was a little bit early, and I feel like she did it to try and make it seem like, is it? And make you kind of question it more, but it just meant that when the reveal happened, you were kind of already convinced by that point, so I feel like it didn't have as much of a shock. There definitely was the shock of, this is this person's brother, whatever, and then you made that connection, you're like, oh my god, okay, like, this person is Legend. But I felt like it just happened way too early, so it kind of took the edge off I don't really know how to explain it, but yeah, so that was a little bit unfortunate. And it definitely had some good little twists and turns in there, which was nice, but they were very predictable, which is a shame, but I still enjoyed them, so, you know, I'm not really complaining too much about that. I also didn't really think that the ending worked as well as it could have. So basically, as soon as they said about, oh, there's an heir back and all of this, I knew it was going to be Legend. Like, I literally put it in here. I was like, yeah, it's definitely going to be Legend. I just knew that was going to happen. And I feel like she did that to make him seem like a villain again. But I feel like by this point, we just don't believe he's a villain. I'm interested to see how that will kind of work in the next book. So I feel like right now, I'm a bit like, okay, I guess. You know, again, it could have had a bigger shock factor, but I didn't. Also, you know, I've never wrote a book before, so I don't know how hard it is to create that kind of suspense and tension. So, you know, all respects to anyone and everyone who's written a book. These are just, like I said, my silly little faults, all right? I do think that I'm very interested to find out what will happen with the mother and also the fates as well. As I said before, I do think she set up the next book quite well. It does still make you want to keep reading. And like I said, although it is partly of the fact, yeah, I do want to finish the trilogy, when I actually sit and think about it, I do think it will be a good plot and interesting to see where she goes with it, so that was pretty good. I definitely did prefer Teller as the main character. As I said, there is no doubt in my mind that this book was a lot better. There's also more world building, and I just felt like I had a bit more flourish. Everything felt a little bit better together. Do you know what I mean? As I said, although the ratings are all over the place, Caraval is definitely lower, and I will have to rejig that score, but I just couldn't give this book more than a 5 because it just needed more. It just needed more of everything. It needed more romance, needed more shock factor, it needed more. It actually do a fairly good job at stomach drops compared to Caraval. Like, it had a few more moments where it was like, ooh. But I think it just needed more. It just needed more. And the main thing it needed more of was just conviction. I felt like it needed to believe in itself, and that's where we'd go with it. I did really like tension with Teller's like own inner conflict of what to do. I think that was quite good, and what she kind of chose to do wasn't expected, so I think that was really clever with her writing as well. I need to correct myself earlier. I said I didn't realise she was a 16-year-old girl. Well, I did, but only in the epilogue, because she was like, oh, I'm turning 17 today, but right. Anyway, so that is a little bit problematic, which I think is a little bit of an interesting choice, but it's a shame because I feel like the author probably had to make for those ages, because then they wouldn't have been able to escape the father up until that point, because Scarlett wouldn't have had the marriage until she was 18, so then Teller needs to be younger. But I feel like in my head, the way Teller acts is like way older than a 16-year-old girl, so I don't really know. I think maybe I would have put them a little bit higher, but like Scarlett not leaving home because Teller hadn't turned 18 yet, maybe, and like she could have turned 18 and then they went into Caraval. I don't know how it would have been done. Yeah, it's a little bit interesting. So like, I see why it happened, but it's just a bit weird because then you've got like an immortal obsessed with a 16-year-old girl, and that just feels wrong, doesn't it? It feels wrong. So, but then maybe, you know, all fantasy, romantasy, all of that, they have weird, interesting concepts. So, you know, it's not real, and if this is upsetting to you and something you don't want to read, you don't have to read it. That's completely fine, you know, that's all right, that's all right. And if you do want to read it, that's also okay. It's a story, it's not real, it's fantasy land, and you know, with the characters you can pretend they're however old you want to, you know, it's not like it's constantly thrown in your face. So if you want to read these books but you'd feel more comfortable believing that they are older, then that's what you gotta do. But yeah, at the end of the day, it is YA, so I feel like YA kind of aims to resonate with people of that age as well, so kind of makes them feel like they could be the hero in a story. So yeah, anyway, fingers crossed for the next one. Okay, oh, it's gone. Well, I shall stop waffling on because I feel like I've been going on for 10 years. Okay, I feel like I've been going on for decades, so please tell me to stop. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. Have you subscribed? Thank you so much. And as always, until the next one, I'll see you then. Bye. Sweaty. Turn it on, turn it on. I literally speak forever.